Welcome. In this video, we're exploring how two personality types may interact in a romantic relationship through the lens of MBTI personality theory. We'll look at the strengths they might naturally bring out in each other, the challenges they may encounter, and the ways they can grow together. Keep in mind that MBTI describes personality preferences, not fixed rules, and it can't predict whether a relationship will succeed or fail. Every person is unique, and every relationship is shaped by far more than personality alone. Think of this as a tool for self-understanding and reflection, rather than absolute truth. With that in mind, let's get started. INFJs often experience life as a search for meaning beneath the surface. Guided by introverted intuition, they naturally look for underlying patterns, future possibilities, and the deeper motivations behind people's words and actions. Their supporting extroverted feeling encourages them to understand emotions and foster meaningful connections, often making them attentive listeners who genuinely want others to feel seen. In relationships, they usually seek emotional depth, mutual growth, and conversations that explore values, dreams, and purpose. They may appear calm and reserved outwardly, while maintaining a rich inner world shaped by reflection and insight. Although they appreciate harmony, they also value authenticity, preferring relationships where both people can be honest, supportive, and committed to growing together over time. INFJ and INFJ relationships often develop through a quiet sense of mutual recognition. Both partners tend to approach relationships thoughtfully rather than impulsively, paying close attention to what someone values beneath the surface instead of focusing only on outward traits. They usually enjoy conversations that move beyond everyday topics, and both often appreciate having a relationship that feels emotionally meaningful rather than simply entertaining. Because they share the same cognitive preferences, they usually understand each other's motivations surprisingly well. The same patterns that help them feel deeply connected can also reinforce each other's blind spots. Rather than balancing one another with different approaches, two INFJs often amplify both the strengths and the weaknesses of their shared personality preferences. Like any MBTI pairing, though, this describes tendencies rather than guarantees. Individual maturity, communication skills, and life experience play a much larger role in long-term compatibility than personality type alone. Part 1. First attraction. The initial attraction between two INFJs often grows gradually instead of arriving all at once. Both partners usually spend time observing before fully opening up, but they also tend to recognize subtle qualities that other people might overlook. Small acts of kindness, thoughtful questions, genuine curiosity, or quiet confidence can leave a much stronger impression than grand displays of charisma. Because both lead with introverted intuition, they naturally enjoy looking beneath appearances. Conversations often become surprisingly personal very quickly. Instead of staying on surface-level topics, they may find themselves discussing future goals, personal values, psychology, creativity, philosophy, or experiences that shaped who they are. This can create a strong feeling of being understood. Many INFJs spend much of their lives feeling like people only see part of them. Meeting someone who naturally asks deeper questions and actually listens to the answers can feel refreshing. Each partner often feels permission to reveal parts of themselves they usually keep hidden. Their shared use of extroverted feeling also creates a comfortable emotional atmosphere. Both generally try to make the other person feel heard and respected. Early interactions are often polite, considerate, and emotionally aware. Neither usually enjoys unnecessary conflict or attention-seeking, which can make the relationship feel calm from the beginning. There is often an unspoken rhythm between them. Silences rarely feel awkward. Both may enjoy spending time together without constantly needing conversation. However, sharing the same personality preferences can also create early misunderstandings. Because both partners tend to read between the lines, they sometimes assume they already understand what the other person is thinking. Ironically, this can lead to incorrect conclusions. One partner might interpret quietness as disappointment, while the other is simply thinking. A delayed reply to a message may be viewed as emotional distance when it was nothing more than a busy day. Neither partner necessarily intends to be mysterious, but both often communicate indirectly, expecting subtle hints to be understood. Another challenge is that both may hesitate to reveal their own needs early in the relationship. Since extroverted feeling naturally focuses on maintaining harmony, each partner may prioritize making the other comfortable while quietly setting aside their own concerns. This creates a relationship that appears almost effortless on the surface, even though both individuals may still be figuring out whether it's truly safe to become emotionally vulnerable. Part 2. Strengths Together. When two INFJs build trust, they often create a relationship centered around emotional understanding and shared purpose. Because both rely heavily on introverted intuition, they naturally enjoy discussing ideas, long-term plans, and possibilities. Decisions are often guided less by immediate convenience and more by whether something fits their larger vision for life. This shared perspective can make long-term planning surprisingly smooth. Whether discussing careers, family, finances, or future goals, both partners often want their choices to align with their personal values, rather than simply following expectations. Communication also has several natural strengths. Both tend to notice emotional shifts before they're openly expressed. They often recognize when something feels different, even if neither person has said anything directly. This emotional awareness can help problems get addressed before they become major conflicts, assuming both partners are willing to talk honestly. Their shared use of extroverted feeling also creates a relationship where encouragement comes naturally. Each partner often wants to help the other succeed, not through pressure, but through support. They usually enjoy celebrating one another's achievements, offering reassurance during difficult periods, and creating an emotionally safe environment. Many INFJs feel energized by helping people grow, and in this pairing, both individuals often become each other's biggest source of encouragement. Their tertiary introverted thinking also gives them opportunities to solve problems together. Although emotions matter deeply, INFJs are not guided by emotion alone. They often enjoy carefully analyzing situations, searching for underlying patterns, and discussing ideas from multiple perspectives. Together, they can spend hours exploring why people behave the way they do, or examining complex questions simply because they enjoy understanding them. Daily life may also feel relatively peaceful. Neither partner typically enjoys constant social activity or dramatic conflict. Both often appreciate routines that include meaningful conversation, quiet evenings, shared hobbies, creative interests, or simply spending time together without needing constant stimulation. This doesn't mean they avoid fun. Rather, their version of fun often emphasizes connection more than excitement for its own sake. Teamwork is another area where similarities can become an advantage. Both usually consider how decisions affect other people. Responsibilities are often approached cooperatively instead of competitively. Since neither partner is especially interested in dominating the relationship, compromises can happen naturally when communication remains open. Perhaps one of the greatest strengths of this pairing is the emotional safety that can develop over time. Many couples spend years learning how their partner experiences emotions. Two healthy INFJs often arrive at that understanding more quickly because they process many situations through similar emotional and intuitive frameworks. That familiarity can become an incredibly stable foundation for long-term trust. Part 3. Biggest Challenges. The very similarities that create closeness can also become the relationship's biggest source of difficulty. One recurring challenge comes from both partners preferring harmony over direct confrontation. Because extroverted feeling naturally considers other people's emotions, each partner may avoid bringing up uncomfortable topics. Rather than expressing frustration immediately, they might convince themselves that the issue isn't important enough to mention. Unfortunately, avoiding conflict doesn't eliminate it. If both people continue protecting each other's feelings instead of expressing their own, resentment can quietly accumulate beneath an otherwise peaceful relationship. When the conversation finally happens, it may surprise both partners because neither realized how much the other had been holding back. Another challenge comes from their shared reliance on introverted intuition. INFJs naturally search for patterns and hidden meanings. When something feels unusual, they often try to understand why. Sometimes this leads to accurate insight. Other times it leads to unnecessary assumptions. If communication becomes unclear, both partners may begin constructing explanations internally instead of simply asking for clarification. Each person believes they're understanding the bigger picture, while both may actually be missing important information. Since both trust their intuition, these assumptions can become surprisingly convincing. Stress can also create interesting dynamics. Because introverted thinking occupies the tertiary position, both partners often become unusually analytical when under pressure. emotional discussions may suddenly shift toward debating logic or carefully dissecting every detail instead of addressing the emotional issue underneath. Rather than resolving the disagreement, both partners can become trapped analyzing why the disagreement happened in the first place. Meanwhile, their inferior extroverted sensing introduces another shared vulnerability. INFJs often spend significant time reflecting on future possibilities or internal insights. When both partners become caught up in abstract thinking, practical matters may receive less attention. Household responsibilities, scheduling, finances, or everyday maintenance aren't necessarily ignored, but they may feel less engaging than discussing ideas or future plans. If neither partner consciously manages these practical responsibilities, they can slowly become recurring sources of stress. There is also the possibility of emotional overprotection. Since both partners care deeply about each other's well being, they may become hesitant to challenge one another. Sometimes genuine growth requires uncomfortable conversations or difficult feedback. If both prioritize preserving immediate harmony above honest communication, the relationship risks becoming emotionally comfortable but personally stagnant. The relationship often functions best when kindness includes honesty rather than replacing it. Part 4. Making it work. For two INFJs, growth often involves learning that openness is sometimes more valuable than emotional perfection. Both partners benefit from expressing concerns before they become fully formed frustrations. Waiting until every emotion has been completely analyzed may feel responsible, but it can also delay conversations that would have been much easier earlier. Learning to communicate uncertainty instead of only communicating certainty allows both people to solve problems together rather than separately. This pairing also benefits from remembering that intuition is incredibly useful but never complete. Both partners naturally notice patterns, but checking those observations through direct conversation prevents misunderstandings from growing unnecessarily. Simple questions often resolve situations that imagination has already turned into complicated stories. Developing their extroverted sensing together can also strengthen the relationship. This doesn't necessarily mean becoming adventurous thrill seekers. It may simply involve paying greater attention to everyday experiences, going for walks, trying new activities, traveling, cooking together, or making practical plans instead of endlessly discussing future possibilities. Shared experiences help balance the relationship's naturally reflective nature. The relationship also becomes stronger when both individuals allow themselves to receive support instead of only providing it. INFJs often feel comfortable caring for others, but may hesitate to admit when they personally need reassurance. In this pairing, each partner may quietly assume the role of caretaker. The healthiest version of this relationship allows both people to alternate between giving and receiving. This pairing often thrives in environments where both partners have opportunities for meaningful conversation, shared long-term goals, emotional trust, and enough personal space to recharge. They usually appreciate relationships that develop steadily rather than dramatically, allowing intimacy to deepen over time. It may struggle during periods where practical demands leave little room for communication, or when both partners become so focused on maintaining harmony that important issues remain unspoken. Stressful situations that require quick, concrete decisions without much time for reflection can also feel challenging if both partners remain stuck in analysis. Fortunately, because both individuals generally value personal growth, they're often willing to reflect on these patterns once they become aware of them. In conclusion, an INFJ and INFJ relationship often feels less like two opposites finding balance and more like two people speaking the same emotional and intuitive language. Their shared cognitive preferences can create deep understanding, thoughtful communication, and a relationship built around trust, empathy, and long-term purpose. Those same similarities can also reinforce habits like avoiding conflict, overanalyzing situations, or neglecting practical concerns if both partners aren't careful. The strengths and challenges tend to come from the same place, experiencing the world through remarkably similar lenses. As with every MBTI pairing, personality preferences are only one part of the picture. Individual maturity, communication skills, shared values, and life experience ultimately shape whether two people build a healthy relationship. When both partners learn to pair empathy with honesty and reflection with action, an INFJ and INFJ relationship can become a deeply supportive partnership that continues growing alongside the people within it.